Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to SheppardDevos. It's Sean, and good to see y'all again. Coming to you live from billeting at Barksdale Air Force Base. Nice. Not. It's all right. Hey, so today we used a commercial coming off of that State Farm ad. It's called Blind Spot Mayhem, I think is what it is. And if you didn't get a chance to see that before viewing this, just search that State Farm commercials 2011 and scroll down. You'll find one that says Blind Spot. But hey, it's a great word picture and gives us an opportunity to sort of see something in real life. Yeah, it's a commercial, we get that, but give us that illustration to sort of get us thinking a little bit this morning. So it's really something. He's stuck to the side of the car, and he says, "Hey, I'm your blind spot." He says, "And my job is to cover up really, really big things," or something like that. Real simple and very easy spiritual application to this. You know, we see that in our own life, we also sometimes have blind spots, right? We've got these things to where we're cooking right along, and a blind spot can be two things. Sometimes you don't know you've got a blind spot. Let's go back to the car analogy, and we all have seen it. You know, you're cruising down the road, and depending on the vehicle, you go through and you get ready to do a lane change. You turn your head a little bit over your shoulder, but for whatever reason, you didn't realize there's a car right there. And of course, you do just like this lady did. You begin to pull over, people honk at you, and you're like, "Yo, what the heck?" Well, that may have been a blind spot that you didn't know you had. For that particular vehicle, you didn't realize that, wow, if I don't turn around far enough or whatever else, people might be hiding in that spot. Then there's other blind spots that we do know that we have, and I wouldn't call it a blind spot any longer. We know we've got it. But that could be an area of weakness that we may have in our own life. And so what's the takeaway from the video? Well, there's a couple things. First off, we need to be, have a humble and appropriate understanding of our own selves as people. Know that, we can fail, and sometimes we can blow it, and sometimes there's weaknesses that are hiding there that have either not yet been discovered in our spiritual life, or ones that we know darn well that we do have, and we need to be careful to stay away from. So I love the way that commercial went. It speaks to me in a lot of different directions. In Psalm 139, which is where I'm reading out of this morning, David had written this, and it says this in Psalm 139, verse 23. It says, "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my anxieties, and see if there is any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting." As I think a little bit about this scripture, I realize that, it's important for us to be like David. Here's a guy that is just telling God, he says, "God, you search me and see if there's any wicked way in me." And understand this, we know that there's nothing hidden from the eyes of God. God already knows. God wasn't telling, or David wasn't out telling or asking God to search me, Lord, so that you can find out what's inside. No, God knew full well. And David's intention was, God, look into me and show me those areas where there might be wickedness hiding, where there might be a blind spot hiding. And we think there's a lot of other places in Scripture where, and I couldn't find this one this morning, but it goes something like this, "Beware you say you stand, lest you fall." And the point is, sometimes we can get to this place in our life. Hey, right now, maybe I'm speaking to a seasoned believer. Maybe I'm speaking to me. I'm heading out. I'm away from home for 6 weeks. I'm going to the academy, so I'm going to be out of pocket. So to those of us that have been around for a while, been in the faith for a while, you know what? Beware you say you stand. "Oh, I'm strong. I don't need to guard my heart or guard my mind against this or this or this. Or I can sort of dabble with this or I can sort of dabble with that." No, that's not wisdom. So, on the one hand, we see that. We need to be careful of those things that that you've got. But as like David was saying here, he was asking God, "Lord, there's some things in me that maybe I don't even know about. So will you search my heart? Will you show me if there's any wicked ways in me?" And then the intention is that as God, sort of shines a flashlight on, and not for his sake, for ours. It says, "Hey, you see this? You see that right there? You see that back in there? Yeah, that." That might be the time where now you and I are put into a position to have to deal with that issue, with that thing. And sometimes God will allow a circumstance to bring that thing around. It may not just be the flashlight. It might be something that's uncomfortable. And that means maybe we get caught red-handed. Who knows? But this is a great scripture. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my anxieties, and see if there's any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. If you haven't prayed a prayer like that, and if you're not doing that with some level of consistency, you really ought to. I need to. I need to make sure that I've asked God to shine His light into my life and to keep me, keep me on the right path. Last scripture I want to share, and I'm just going to touch because it's a lot there. But in Ephesians chapter 6. We see a section of Scripture which many people know, and it talks about the armor of God. When you get an opportunity, go through and read Ephesians chapter 6, and primarily verses 10 through about 20. And basically what this does is it talks to us a little bit about how in our life, when we do find those weaknesses, when we do have those weaknesses and those things which are going to have a tendency to grab a hold of us, those areas where we're going to have a tendency to fall. We know that a struggle exists there. We know, let's say, that there's a blind spot right there. This talks to us about how to utilize God's power to help us to fight that good fight of faith. We want to stay faithful and true to what He's asked us to do, right? We do. That's the key to us to living a blessed life, is obedience. So all that being said, check out Ephesians chapter 6 today, verses 10 through about 20. Keep an eye out for your blind spot. And if you know what it is, then pay attention. Don't steer into traffic, as it were. And if you're not sure if you've got any blind spots, then make sure you offer up that prayer of David. It says, "Search me, O God, know my heart, and show me if there's any wicked way in me." All right, guys. Hey, bless you all. We'll hopefully keep these coming from Maxwell. See ya.